do?
I'm a banker.
Oh, how much do you make?
Like 300 grand.
I'm an investment banker.
Oh, nice. How much do you make?
I make 200,000 a year.
So the roles that are taking home the big bucks in this industry are the surgeons, the orthodontists, the psychiatrists, those kind of roles. So it really does depend on what you're doing within the healthcare sector. Legal always comes up on lists like this, but then again, it does depend on what you're doing. If you're in intellectual property, if you're in patenting, corporate lawyer, these kind of roles and a few more are the ones that are taking home the big bucks in these fields. Finance will never not be on this list, but then again, it also depends on what you're doing within finance.
I am in tech sales at Microsoft. I'm an enterprise sales specialist.
And how much money do you make per year doing this?
About 280 to 300K a year.
Have you ever felt like financial advice out there is made for people who make tons of money in like tech or a high paying field like obviously finance? Well, you're not alone. But here's the truth. In reality, you don't need, it would be nice, caveat, but you don't need a six-figure salary or a job in a typically fancier, right, air quote with the fancier industry to build wealth and be financially secure. In fact, today's video is all about advice for women who will probably never work in tech or on Wall Street or in finance or any of those related fields, right? Finally, a plan that works for those of us in the real world. Let's be honest, mainstream financial advice seems to assume you're either making $150,000 salary or aiming for a six-figure job in tech.
But I did an MBA, finished that about 2 years ago.
How much do you make in your role?
So my base salary is $120,000, and then there's a target bonus of 20%. And then we have educational benefits. I think it's like $5,000 a year. We also have an option to purchase stock at a 15% discount.
Love that.
So that's also a nice benefit as well.
The typical tech compensation package includes a base salary, an annual bonus, and equity. So the combined amount of base salary and equity is $277,000.
We hear about investing in stock options, startups, or side gigs that makes you thousands of dollars a month. What if you're not in that boat? What if you don't want to work in tech or at a hedge fund? Okay, this isn't your rich BFF, right? What if your reality looks different and you're still trying to figure out how to manage your money well? Well, we're going to talk about practical, real-world financial advice that fits the lives of women who want financial freedom but are looking to work or change into a high-pressure industry, lose a bit of autonomy just to say you're making that new money, that $150,000 salary. You're not willing to work 60-hour plus work weeks, and you don't think you ever will, to be honest. Let's get started. Sign number one for me would be stop chasing any get-rich-quick scheme. You don't have the time. Okay, if you already know you are a 40-hour work week type person, the fact that you already put in or, even having an investment or savings or retirement account for you is probably enough. Or, you may need maybe one more stream, but feels enough. So whether it's crypto, flipping properties, AI faceless YouTube, the millions of AI faceless YouTube accounts that we hear about these days and how it's a gold mine with AI, or some new online business that promise you instant income. Let's be real, most of the schemes take time to work. I'm not saying they may not work, they just take time. And if you're not willing to put that time into it, you will not get the results that other people claim to get from it. And let's face it, it also has high risk, which really means substantial amount of income or substantial amount of money to front this thing that you're starting, right? It's that focus on steady, slow wealth building. That doesn't obviously mean you can't invest in something, but it obviously means that you don't rely on just sudden windfall of money to come into your lap. You're not that kind of person, or you could be, but you want to start small with something manageable. I told you in my past stories, I would put $5, $10, $15 away into an automatic savings account. You want to do that into an automatic savings high yield account if you just want to put it in a savings account to be safe. If you want to put money to retirement contributions, amazing. Okay, you have 401ks that could be matched with your employer. You could put money to your Roth IRA. There's set a percentage of money aside every month, put it into some kind of savings for your future, taking advantage of those retirement funds and building an emergency fund at the same time. It's not about consistency, but it will pay off. I've talked about the many times it's paid off when those emergency funds were needed. And it may not be today, but definitely someday. Sign number two, understand what financial independence means for you. Okay? A lot of times you will hear when, especially as you're younger, you hear someone state like a really crazy obscene amount of money. Then, right, you start to assume you need $10 million a month to be able to live. And for some random reason, you think that's what wealth means. If you're not making that, you don't, this is what really rich people do, or really rich people make. And maybe the billionaires, right? In actuality, that may not be realistic for everyone, and it doesn't have to be. If you know you're going to go retire in Costa Rica and you know that you will definitely have a home there and your cost of living is going to go down, great. You're not going to need the amount of money you will need to retire in like San Diego, California, right? We know this. So the way that you're saving and what independence means to you, you have to really find that out, or else you live with this weird standard of never being able to achieve this weird thing that was maybe implanted in your mind randomly at one point in your youth. I'm talking from experience. Like, what does financial independence really look like for you? Is that having enough money saved for a down payment for a house? Is that paying off all of your student loans and being debt free? All your credit cards are paid off. You have no debt at all, or you have no debt and you're saving for all these different goals that you may have, a trip, a lovely vacation, right? Maybe it's the freedom to work less, be able to go part-time at work, and still be able to supplement your life and income because you have the savings. Maybe it's spending more time on passion projects, being able to take time off work so you can do those things. You have to define your own version of financial freedom, financial independence, all these like financial independence, retire early, Reddits, I'm in them too. But the numbers are so different for people that you just hear sometimes those crazy things. But all of the times, like, it's all based off these metrics of this is what it means for me to be happy. At least that's what it should be. Because remember, it's not about chasing some magic number. It's about creating the life for you on your own terms, in your own space, in a way that really leaves you happy. Because that's, at the end of the day, you don't want to look back and most of your days were unhappy. Sign number 3, I've talked about this so many times, the treat yourself syndrome, the lifestyle inflation syndrome. Yes, it's very real. It happens to quite a lot of people. I don't know what the statistic is, but I'm sure you're watching this, it's happened to you as well. As your income grows, it's easy to start spending more. You want some new clothes, more expensive clothes, more bigger brands, bigger apartments, a new car, a new cell phone, a new camera, pricier vacations. But here's the thing, just because your paycheck went up does not mean every single thing in your life has to match that new paycheck. This is where we all fall into that trap of living paycheck to paycheck, because you will constantly be neck to neck with debt if you do those type of things, the treat yourself syndrome, right? Like I discussed in my other video where 100K doesn't even feel enough anymore. Paycheck to paycheck. Especially for the, like I said, that will be for the paycheck to paycheck people. Or people in the high cost of living cities, right? Or high cost of living areas. So instead of automatically increasing your spending, try increasing your savings instead. Or try paying down your debt more. If it helps to have a savings account that's named or targeted towards something, that could be a really helpful thing too. I've been there where I would say this was for my moving out into an apartment savings fund. Okay, I wanted to save $5,000 so I can move out. That was what I had. And every time I would go in there and see the money start to stack up, it made me feel good. It made me feel like, you know what, it's all worth it to not have to spend that extra $50 every 2 weeks. Because that's what I had at the time. It reaffirms the gamification of dopamine towards savings instead. You now start to feel good when you see that money saved. You know, okay, that 50 is gone, but I know what I'm going to be using it for. Because I see it. I see it in my head. I see the trip. I see the things, right? Put more into your retirement funds. Increase the amount. That's where that money should go. Build up an emergency fund. You can have the spending money. There is some pocket money you can have, but it's allotted for, right? If you're creating goals to work towards, it doesn't feel like a vacuum, like you're saving in a vacuum. Oh, I don't even know where this money is going. Someday I hope it comes back to me. It'll come back to you. It's for you. But to know what it's for, okay, I'm doing this because in 6 months I'd like to do this. Or because I did this then and it helps with this, right? That way you're intentional about your money rather than letting lifestyle and consumer psychology dictate how you save. Sign number 4, prioritize simple, accessible investment. You don't really need to understand the most complicated aspects of stocks, bonds, options, calls to start building wealth. Okay, I thought the same thing too. And I think there is a lack of education, especially in the Black community. But I thought I have to know all these things to even be able to save. I put money into a Roth IRA and I didn't even pull the trigger because I was that scared. But exactly, you don't need to know everything. You will learn along the way if you make learning part of your progress in life. Like in everything, just want to keep learning. In fact, the best way for people to invest is through simple, low-cost investments. Options like index funds, ETFs, these are pretty much like one umbrella, housing a bunch of brands underneath it, especially brands that you like to use a lot.
So I'm going to explain what an index fund is in under 30 seconds. So we're all familiar with stocks. You buy an Apple stock and you get a portion of Apple. But an index fund is like you're buying a basket of stocks. So let's say you buy an index fund called the S&P 500. You now own a basket of 500 stocks, specifically the top 500 publicly traded companies in America. So when you buy the index fund, you not only own a portion of Apple, but you own a portion of Apple, Microsoft, Google.
They're under one umbrella. Invest in that one umbrella one. It's an ETF, an index fund, something similar to that. Those are simple, automatic. You put your money in and it works for you. It's matched the market. Don't think about it. It may go down. It may go up. Just lock in. These give you broad exposure to the market without needing to be a financial expert. You may never be a financial expert. I may never be a financial expert. I don't know if I want to be a financial expert, but I do want to be a financial expert for my money and the things that will make my money grow. And that's what I'm doing with you. Start with small, manageable investments. Remember the $5, $10, $15, $20 story? It stays consistent because that was my truth. When I had it for that, that's all I could put away when it was literally $10 a month. But you know what? It was better 10 than nothing. And that's my policy. Better little than nothing. So set up those automatic investments a month. Have a name or target for those investments that you're putting away. It makes it more exciting. Even if it's $25, $50, $100, $5, $10. It adds up over time. This is compounding interest. That's what we're talking about when we say compounding interest. It adds up over time. And during times of extreme ranges in the opening and closing of the market, leave your investment locked in. It will go up, it will go down. Life is up and downs. You want to be locked in so that when you are at years from now, it's increasing with the market because inflation erodes cash. So you still want to be locked in. And if you say, you know what, I am way too nervous for this, maybe put a little percentage of money into that, but make sure you have some money in a high yield savings account. There's some percentages being racked up interest wise on your money. Inflation that $10 will not be $10 in 10 years from now. Trust. The key is consistency. Like I said, compounding interest is no joke. Lock in. And sign number 5, stop comparing your progress, your life to others.
By the age of 40, you should have 3 times your annual income saved up and invested. Assuming you need 3 times the average $70,000 a year salary, that'll require you to save between 15 to 25% of your income beginning at the age of 25 at a 7.5% return.
I just hit Coast Fire at 60, so here's an update on my next Coast Fire milestone. Hitting Coast Fire at 60 means if I stopped investing right now, I would still hit my retirement goal and be able to retire at 60.
Your financial journey is your financial journey. I know it's so easy. Comparison is the thief of joy after all. It's so easy to get caught up looking at other people and all the things that they're doing, buying a house, going on a trip. But remember, obviously social media is the best highlight reel of anyone's life. Not a lot of people come on the internet, unless that is their platform of honesty and vulnerability, to come onto the internet and show you the worst parts of their lives. Not a lot of people do that. Even that worst is curated for you because there is an aspect of performativeness when a camera is on you. Even if you don't want it to be, the moment a camera turns on, I'm like, oh, I'm being recorded. That's a real thing everybody goes through. So people with their best life quotes on the amazing vacation every other week, designer clothes, but they still owe you money and a list to send you. They send it to sell you for the vacation you went to last time. Or even the perfect financial background. Social media is fake. A lot of these people are creators, actors, stage hands, or just people who really know how to sell a story online. Because some people are just really good at that, even if they have a 9-to-5 and day job. But the truth is, obviously, you cannot follow anyone's path. You are uniquely you. So whether it's paying down your credit card debt, your student loans, you have kids, and you obviously have kids' college that you have to pay, or savings for college funds, or savings for business on the side. Everyone is on their own timeline. I know it's such a hard thing to talk about sometimes because we all fall into that trap, but everyone is on their own timeline. When someone starts at 25, but they want to take a break from their career at 40, but you really got into your career at 35 and you're not taking a break till you're 60, you see different timelines. So set the goals that are right for you and your lifestyle and your goal lifestyle, not just the lifestyle that you're currently in, because sometimes I think we fall into the trap of being like, this is always what I've done, this is always where I've been, this is always what I do. Sometimes it's so nice to have a goal lifestyle in mind. Well, one day I would love to, maybe it's just getting more fit, or maybe it's just being more financially sound, or maybe it's having all of those things that we have. So if you feel like the financial advice out there is for people who are really in finance, or those, all the tech people, the tech bros, I hope this video gave you a better perspective. You can absolutely take control of your financial freedom regardless of what salary you're making and what industry you work in. Now, caveat, because I do believe there's some industries that it's just so hard to get a leg up, and I've been in the service industry and that is one of those. If you're looking to make smarter financial decisions and take action, be sure to download my Impulse Spending Tracker, a tool designed to help you track where those impulses are happening and how to stop those impulse purchases. It's a game. If you're ready to get intentional about your money, check the link in my description below. And don't forget to sign up for my newsletter where I share exclusive tips to make your financial journey and lifestyle choices just more manageable. And don't forget to check out my video on the death of the middle class. And until next time,